The wind howled through the narrow streets of Wiener Pines, rattling the last autumn leaves against the uneven sidewalks. Maya Lillard tugged her little brother Steve's hand as they darted between the flickering streetlights, their plastic pumpkin buckets clinking with candy. The small town had a charm that felt old-fashioned, almost frozen in time. But tonight, the shadows seemed to linger just a little longer than usual. Their friends, Kate and Jason, caught up with them at the corner of Elm Street, their laughter bouncing off the aging clapboard houses. Together, the four of them raced from porch to porch, stuffing their bags with chocolate, lollipops, and caramel. The crisp night air was filled with the smell of pumpkin spice, smoke from nearby chimneys, and the distant echo of a lonely dog barking somewhere in the darkness. Finally, they reached the edge of the neighborhood, where the last house sat like a forgotten relic. Its windows were shattered, the paint peeling in jagged strips, and the gate hung loosely on one rusted hinge. Local legend said the house had been empty for decades. It was whispered that a pair of twins once lived there and then vanished without a trace. Some swore that on Halloween night you could hear them giggling from inside, waiting for the next intruders. "Come on, let's see if anyone lives here," Jason said, his eyes glinting with reckless curiosity. Maya shivered. "Jason, don't. Everyone says this place is cursed. We shouldn't even." But Jason was already at the door, pushing it open with a low groan. It wasn't locked. The air that escaped smelled like wet wood and decay. The other three hesitated, staring into the yawning darkness. But fear and curiosity tangled in their hearts until, one by one, they stepped inside. The floorboards moaned under their feet, each step echoing through the cavernous entryway. Shadows danced across the walls as if they were alive. A faint smell of perfume, sharp and sweet, wafted from somewhere deep within the house. "Hello," Steve's voice trembled. "Is anyone here?" A sudden giggle answered him, high, childish sound that made Maya freeze in place. She looked at the others. Kate's face had gone pale, and Jason's bravado was clearly faltering. "Probably just the wind," Jason muttered, though his voice didn't carry much conviction. They moved cautiously down the hallway. The wallpaper was peeling like old scabs, and the furniture was coated in decades of dust. Then they saw it. Two small chairs sat side by side in the parlor, facing the fireplace. On them were identical dolls, dressed in old-fashioned clothes. Their porcelain faces were cracked, and their eyes were impossibly dark. Maya felt her stomach drop. "Steve, those look like twins." Before anyone could respond, the door behind them slammed shut. The sound was deafening, and a cold draft surged through the room. The dolls' heads slowly turned, their lifeless eyes seeming to follow their every movement. The giggling returned, louder this time, echoing off the walls in overlapping, disorienting whispers. "Let's get out of here," Kate screamed, rushing for the door, but it wouldn't budge. Jason was shaking now, his eyes darting frantically around the room. Then they heard Ita's soft whisper right behind Mia's ear. "Stay, play with us," Steve screamed as icy fingers brushed against his shoulder. The four of them spun around, but the dolls were gone. In their place, two shadowy figures appeared, identical and pale, their smiles stretching impossibly wide. They didn't walk, they floated. "Twins," Maya whispered, paralyzed by terror. "They're real." The shadows lunged, and the last thing the friends heard was the echo of their own terrified screams, swallowed by the darkness of the abandoned house. Outside, the wind continued to howl through Wiener Pines, carrying with it a faint, sinister laughter that would haunt the streets long after Halloween ended. No one ever saw Maya, Steve, Kate, or Jason again. But sometimes, children passing the old house swear they hear giggles behind the broken windows and see two tiny figures watching and waiting from the shadows. Thank you so much for listening to tonight's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more terrifying tales. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one. Halloween night. The storm was a beast, unleashed, clawing at the town of Ridgewood. Rain fell in sheets, thunder cracked like bones, and lightning strikes offered terrifying glimpses of the chaos. Through it all, two figures staggered down the slick, empty streets, Peter and Josh. Peter's leg was a mess, bleeding from a nasty fall. Josh had smashed his head on the curb trying to help him up. Every hospital they tried was packed, overwhelmed by the storm's wreckage, except one. On the forgotten edge of town, the Weaver Clinic stood like a tombstone. Its sign was broken, its windows were veiled in dust, and a weak orange open sign pulsed like a failing heart. It was their only option. They shoved the heavy door open. A wave of cold air hit them, thick with the smell of old medicine and something else, something foul, like decay. The power was out, so flickering candles cast long, dancing shadows down the hallway. Somewhere, a radio played soft, distorted Halloween music, glitching in and out, and then they saw her. Behind the counter stood a woman in a faded nurse's uniform. The white fabric was spattered with red stains that didn't look like paint. Her makeup was caked and cracked, her lipstick a garish slash of red, and her smile was far, far too wide. "Welcome, boys," she cooed, her voice sickly sweet. "I'm Nurse Lucy. You came just in time. Halloween is our busiest night." Peter limped forward, clutching his leg. "My leg, it's really bad." "Oh, don't you worry," she said, her grin never wavering. "I'll take good care of you both." She led them down a hallway lined with old, grinning jack-o'-lanterns. The candle flames inside them seemed to dance and shudder, as if someone was breathing on them. As they passed, Peter noticed names carved into some of the pumpkins, names that felt disturbingly real. A cold, spectral whisper brushed past his ear. He froze. "Josh, did you hear that?" Josh's eyes darted around the dim corridor. "Yeah, someone's whispering." Nurse Lucy turned her head slowly, unnaturally, her smile still plastered on her face. "It's just the Halloween spirits," she said softly. "They always come to visit on their special night." She guided them into a small room. In the center was an old metal bed. On a nearby tray, a set of tools glinted in the candlelight. Rusted scissors, a rack of needles, and something that looked disturbingly like a bone saw. "Now," she said, rolling up her stained sleeves, "let's fix that leg." Peter flinched. "Do you even have power here?" Lucy let out a low chuckle. "We don't need power for my kind of medicine." The candles flickered violently. For a split second, Peter swore he saw shadows detaching from the walls, writhing and reaching. Josh started to tremble. I think we should go." "Oh, you can't leave yet," Lucy said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "You haven't met the others." The door slammed shut with a deafening boom. The whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a phantom wind. Peter glanced at the window and his heart stopped. pale, gaunt faces with empty eyes stared back at him from the darkened glass. "Run," Peter screamed. But when he turned, it was too late. Josh was on the floor. His eyes were wide open, staring at nothing, his lips moving as he whispered something Peter couldn't understand. Nurse Lucy leaned in close to Peter's ear, her breath cold as the grave. "Don't be scared," she whispered. "You'll join him soon." Peter stumbled back, his foot slipping on something sticky. He looked down. A dark, crimson trail snaked from his feet out into the hallway. The jack-o'-lantern's smiles now looked sharp, predatory. The whispering voices swelled, chanting his name. "Peter, Peter, stay forever." Lucy raised a long, rusted needle, its tip glinting in the dying candlelight. "Happy Halloween." And then, total darkness. Only the whispers remained. The next morning, the storm had passed. The sun shone on a clean, quiet town. Police investigated a report of an open door at the long-abandoned Weaver Clinic. They found it empty. No people, no working power, just dust, decay, and 2 new pumpkins sitting on the front counter. Both had names freshly carved into them, Peter and Josh. They say if you walk by the old Weaver Clinic on Halloween night, you can still hear the whispers carried on the wind from its dark, silent hallway. Trick or treat. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more spooky tales. Stay safe out there.